Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Tom Schlueter with today's Tom's Take. For my Tom's Take today, I'm going to use a revelation or a teaching that the Lord gave to my good friend Lisa Knight Windahl. Lisa is the one who the Lord has been using to download tremendous decrees that are being used across the nation and across our state over the last several months. Because of those decrees coming forth and because of a revelation that the Lord had given me about analyzing what we receive from Him and then executing that, we co-authored this book, Analyze and Execute. I'll get it straight. So she was talking to me today on the phone as we were dealing with some final issues regarding the book and getting it put together. And she said she had this tremendous download from the Lord on Sunday evening. She gave me permission to use it. I'm going to quote directly from what she sent to me by email. I was completely immersed yesterday. I spent the entirety of the day praying in the Spirit, worshiping, decreeing, and listening. I received an interesting word from the Lord last night, and that was Sunday night. Here is a portion of it. You have entered the crossover, the promised land that flows with milk and honey, the time and season of more than enough. In the crossover, there is abundance. Lack has been swallowed upon the deep waters, in the waters that produced the struggle, the contending, and the testing. You have crossed over onto dry, solid, fertile ground, the place of production and multiplication. From rafting with all your might to sailing in the breeze. That's a beautiful image. The fight, the struggle, the continual maneuvering and managing and fighting against the current into a pure, clear, free-flowing river. Oh, you will still need your faith and my grace to possess the entirety of your portion, but you won't receive it in the same way that brought you here. You'll receive it through the conduit of grace, not in contention. But with a sure knowing that the King is in the field, you'll follow those footsteps step before you, the imprints of the steps of the King who goes before you. You've crossed over into plenty, into more than enough. Ease will be your portion. Authority will be your crown. As I pour out of you by my own hand all that has been poured into you. She then writes, I've been praying into that since last night and studying as to what on earth the crossover is. Obviously, the Red Sea, the Jordan, etc., but I felt that it had a more significant meaning. I felt that it had a more significant meaning than just what I already knew. I love how the Lord gives us the strongest. Let me read that again. I love it when the Lord gives us the strangest words or phrases, those that we wouldn't typically use or speak, to compel us to dig deeper. Oh, I agree with her. Here's a little bit of what I have discovered. A crossover is a point of transition where two things meet, mix, or exchange qualities. It refers broadly to an intersection between different realms, genres, and systems. A word that's coming to my mind as I'm reading it is much like the threshold. You cross over it and you're in a new place. The Bible repeatedly shows crossover moments as transitions ordained by God, where His people shift from one season, territory, or identity into another. These are not casual transitions. They mark divine thresholds where obedience, faith, and alignment with God determine whether the people advance or remain stuck. There is a personal crossover in identity. There is a corporate crossover. when the church definitively shifts from passivity to govern more spiritually and civically. There is a national crossover where nations move beyond crisis and judgments into reformation and prophetic destinies. It is a time when we come up higher to settle the accusations and legal claims of the enemy with greater authority, accuracy, and precision. And it is where we begin establishing territory and grounds in such a way that the enemy cannot appeal or reclaim territory secured. It's a time when we enforce the order of the court and establish the precedent for the future. The legal authority for it is in Isaiah 35, verse 8, the Passion. There will be a highway of holiness called the sacred way. The impure will not be permitted on this road, but it will be accessible only to those who walk in the ways of the Lord. Fools will never travel that road. Highway of holiness is not just a small path, but an elevated road, cleared and set apart. It is a secure, direct route that leads his people from wilderness into the place of his glory and government. This is not man's road, but God's. It's a covenantal path, prepared for those who have surrendered, repented, and aligned. The impure will not be permitted. These crossovers are places of purification. We've repented, we've surrendered, we've closed gates of demonic influence. Now we are on the highway of holiness. The highway isn't about human strength or striving, but about alignment with His ways. Because we have aligned, the highway is open. Those who despise wisdom, reject holiness, or rebel against God cannot enter. This is a secured crossover that keeps enemies and intruders out. The crossover is not a rough, uncertain road, but it is a highway prepared by the Most High. The King is in the field. The King has prepared the way. The King goes before us. The King leads the procession. We have crossed over into destiny, governance, and promise fulfillment. It is a time to establish new covenantal realities. It is a divinely orchestrated shift into kingdom governance. Judgment has been rendered, and we have shifted into a crossover of enforcement and execution of God's justice. A legal transaction has occurred in the Spirit. I believe that while we continue to enforce the orders of the court, we also begin building a superhighway infrastructure for the future. We have spent a great deal of time closing gates. We have crossed over into a season of possessing the gates of promise. The legal authority, Psalm 24:7. Lift up, rise up, yield your dominion, O you controlling entryways, thresholds of power, and seats of authority, and be lifted up, O eternal portals of influence, that the King of glory may enter in. The phrase, O ye gates, from Strong's H 8179, points beyond physical gates to spiritual and governmental entry points, the places of authority, judgment, and dominion in a city, nation, or even in the human heart. Psalm 24 is essentially a legal claim or decree to the unseen powers at the gates: yield to the rightful rule of the King of glory. Crossing over isn't just a moment. It's a spiritual transaction. You've moved from one side of the threshold to the other. What was once promise is now inheritance. What once was fought for is now possessed. We're not standing on the bank of the Jordan anymore. We're on the other side. Crossover. Egypt cannot reclaim us. The wilderness cannot pull us back. The old system has no jurisdiction where we now stand. This is the manifestation of not one of his promises has failed in Joshua 21:45. We are experiencing habitation, not visitation. You are no longer waiting for an outpouring. The King of Glory has entered in, and his presence abides. You have entered rest, described in Deuteronomy 12:10, a season where the land itself testifies to God's goodness. You now stand as a wanderer, not as a wanderer, but as an heir. You're not praying for land, you're distributing it. And fruitfulness? The wilderness was about survival, manna by the day. The land is about abundance, vineyards, wells, and harvest you did not labor for. We have crossed over from sojourners to occupiers. We are not waiting for a promise. We are possessors of promise. We are not in transition. We are in establishment. Every day now becomes an outworking of possession, driving out lingering giants, planting and reaping in the fertile soil, building altars of remembrance, and governing from the place of rest. Wow, what an amazing word and testimony from Lisa. You might want to go back and listen to it again. Please forgive me for missing some words and having to go back, but I just been overwhelmed by what was released. So I'll have to go over it again too. But I want you to have a great day and know that we have crossed over. We are now in the promise. We are now in the promise. My good friend Clay Nash has said many times, we're not moving towards the promise now. We are moving from the promise into all that God has for us. Let's move together into this. Blessings to all of you. I'll be with you again tomorrow.